Here's a fun fact. I played video games this year. Crazy, I know. So, like all the other YouTubers I've seen, I've decided to make a short video about all the new games I played this year. Not really ranked, just kinda some thoughts I have on them, since I haven't even beaten most of them. Just a reminder though, that these are new to me, since some of these games may be older than the people watching this video. They're in no real order from best to worst, but with that said, let me rant. I like free games. Not games that are free, but games that usually cost something that are discounted for free for whatever reason. That and Fortnite with friends are the only reason I have an Epic account. And quite often, I'll find that really good games on Steam, usually for an anniversary or just for the heck of it, are discounted as 100% off. This led me to playing Metro 2033 Redux. Now I can tell when a game is good, but just not my thing, and I think that's a great way to describe how I feel about Metro. It's a very interesting game, with a beautifully terrible world, with all the people huddled together and trying desperately not to freeze in a post-apocalyptic Russia. It's got some really cool and unique looking guns, and some really good voice acting. I don't know, it just didn't really click with me. I made it to the portion immediately after the handcar moment, and like, it's interesting, it's just not really my thing. I think the game is neat, but I just didn't really get much into it. I've heard nothing but amazing things about the Metro series, and maybe at some point I'll try getting into it again. Heck, maybe gathering footage for this short segment will inspire me to try it again, but as I'm writing this, it's alright. There are many things in this world that I do not like. Generally, I'm a pretty positive person, but I can hate on something if I really want to. And one of the biggest targets for my distaste is the Warhammer 40k franchise. While I do know a lot of people like it, in my opinion it's overly edgy, nonsensical, and anytime someone tries to tell me that, oh, well, it's a universe that has all kinds of stories, that doesn't really help, because a story about a universal traveling jester stealing items because he wants to build a space museum feels out of place next to Johnny Planetbuster Baby's Destroyer, known for appearing in the book Death to All Innocent Civilians. But you know what? Even I can admit that they make fun games, like Spacemarine 2. I picked this game up to play with my brother and friend, and even for someone who hates 40k can admit, this is a pretty fun game. 3 big angry war machines do battle against a whole bunch of mooks with flashy kill animations, counters, flamethrowers, and grenades is a recipe for fun, even if you skip all the cutscenes. Gameplay is simple but fun, and while I have no real issue with the main campaign, which you're seeing here, the real gameplay starts once you beat the campaign and can start playing in a specific class, and get class-specific abilities, perks, even weapon layouts. My personal kit is a sniper with the sniper rifle and heavy bolt pistol, because I love picking at important guys' heads to make an opening for my allies to insta-kill them. Plus that camo ability has saved us several times, since camoing drops aggro, allowing me to pick up my allies and keep us from wiping. Also, I have to admit the graphics are seriously impressive. Look at all those bugs. Good fun game, though definitely get some friends to play with, because it's not as fun as solo with bots. Okay, so like, I did not pick these games up for the first time this year, but I haven't played them in more than a decade, so whatever. As a kid, because of course I did, I played LEGO games, a staple in every childhood. I had quite a collection, like LEGO Star Wars, The Complete Saga, LEGO Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars, Harry Potter's years 5 through 7 for the PS3, which I think I got for a birthday present and never even opened because I didn't own a PS3. But 2 games stood above the rest in terms of me liking them, being LEGO Batman 1 and 2. Coming back to these games years and years later remind me of just how simple games used to be. The combat is simple, the puzzles aren't super hard, But there's just such a charm to these games that can't be denied. They don't even have voice acting in the first game, and yet the characters' personalities shine through. Even in the first, most basic game, there's still a ton to do outside of beating the levels, like going for the true hero status, finding the mini kits, which, God, some of these are super annoying. If you've ever 100%ed this game, just reminding you of the final penguin level should send shivers down your spine. And, of course, running around the lobby and beating people up, because that's just really fun, okay? I like doing this. This is fun. Of course, free play is a blast, running through levels as whoever and doing whatever, like freezing enemies, breaking their spines, or gliding out of bounds and finding a key you're not supposed to. See? Cool. Obviously, though, LEGO Batman 2 is the superior game, with better levels, more fun cosmetics, and, of course, the open world, which is why I loved this game so much as a kid. Being able to just wander around this rainy, gothic place and just explore, see what I could find. There honestly isn't even a whole lot to do in the overworld, outside of occasional missions you can find and, like, platforming segments, but, like, for the most part, this was still an awesome open world to explore. The voice acting also adds quite a lot, like a love for clown girls I'll never really recover from, and my favorite version of the Joker, ever. Sorry, LEGO Batman movie, gay Joker loses just a bit to the gun-crazy Joker. I do find that some levels drag on quite a bit. Usually by the time I think they're over, there's an entire set piece left to go, but that's a very minor complaint. I'm still working on 100%ing it, but there's a bit more to do in this game than in LEGO Batman 1. LEGO Batman 1 is more nostalgic than actually good, but it's still pretty good even if completing it is annoying. LEGO Batman 2 is a major step up, and I'm having a blast 100%ing it. Alright, let's get one thing clear. Party games? Rock. Like, there's few things more fun than getting together and playing games with people, no matter what skill set, and letting dumb luck and chance decide whether you're gonna have a fun time, or if you're gonna sit in your room grumpy over bad luck. And there's no series more long-running, nor known for this phenomenon more, than Mario Party Jamboree. Okay, yeah, the series isn't called Jamboree, but I needed a segue. This is the third Mario Party game on the Switch, and in my humble opinion, I think it's between Superstars and Super. Super had superior ally mechanics, because I don't care how broken it was, getting 3 allies was just super fun. I think that while Superstars had better minigames, Jamboree is still plenty of fun. I think it has some of the best boards of the games I've played, the mall one especially being a great one, and Bowser Stage in this really exemplifies how cruel Mario Party can be when it feels like. The buddies, while not being on par with Super, are still fun, and you know what? I like their minigames. I think that they can go on a little too long sometimes, but I think they're fun. All of them except DK on Wi-Fi. That crap is borderline unplayable, albeit very funny. I usually spend quite a lot of time playing it with my mom, my grandma, and whoever else is available to play, and I've gotten a lot of fun times out of it. Is it amazing? No, not really, but it's a party game. I have plenty of fun popping it in and seeing how many times a Nintendo console can drive me to drink, and I don't even like alcohol. Fun fact, I had an Xbox 360 at my grandma's house, and I loved playing it, because not only did it come prepackaged with Minecraft, but there was a handful of other games downloaded onto there. There was Trials, a fun physics-based bike riding game, Kingdom for Keflings, which is the most 5 out of 10 game in existence, and the game I'm talking about right now, Peggle. Look, it was like $2, and I needed something to do while none of my other games looked appealing, okay? But there is a reason this simple ball game has stuck in the back of my head. Well, firstly, it was this gerbil thing, but secondly, it was a fun puzzle game about hitting the red balls with skill and accuracy. Or dumb luck if you're me. That's how I got most of my shots. Really, this game isn't super complex. It really is just shooting at balls, but what really makes the game fun is the various masters you can play as, and thus what their skills are. You got lame ones like aiming, clearing out at maximum 4 pips, and flippers, which don't even come into play in most levels, but you've also got really good ones, like fireballs that don't bounce, they destroy, multi-ball, which is always fun, and wraparound, allowing you to do some incredibly dumb strategies, and gambling. Oh, heck yeah. It's usually pretty cheap, and you can get a decent amount of time out of it, even just playing through the campaign. Plus, it's fun to just boot it up, shoot some balls, and oh, come on, I thought that would go in! If I may be so blunt to say this in our modern woke society, I lack guns. I think that while they are very dangerous tools that in real life should be respected and treated as such, in fiction, they are just cool. As such, it should be no shock that a VR game all about guns should interest me. And as such, I have been having a ton of fun in Hotdogs, Horseshoes, and Handgrenades. This is, in essence, a very simple game. Here are a bunch of stages, here's a bunch of guns from various eras, here's various attachments, things to screw around with, and a couple different enemies to spawn in. Make your own fun. This sounds like it'd get boring incredibly quickly. It does not. Especially because the game spent a lot of time making it so the guns and interactability is at its maximum. Meaning you've got different firing styles, hammers to mess with, slides to slide, even melee weapons to throw, slash and drop onto enemies' heads. Heck, even the worlds are pretty detailed, like being able to blow the locks off doors, window shattering's pretty realistic, and my personal favorite, being able to grab and throw the enemies like they're nothing. This means that, if you're like me and enjoy creating scenarios outside of the main gameplay loop, you can come up with a lot of ideas, designing loadouts based on characters like Chris Redfield, Yusuke Kitagawa, or Jirog from Fire Emblem, or using some dumb weapon like an M32 rotary grenade launcher in a small, secluded building, and trying not to explode yourself while taking out a group of enemies, or doing whatever else comes to mind. There's other game modes, like a roguelike one where you complete objectives, or Team Fortress 2, but I don't really mess with them much. I have plenty of fun coming up with scenarios, improving my aim, and pretending to be Jason Voorhees by throwing bladed instruments at my opponents. I don't play a lot of indie games. I know, a shame, but there is one major indie franchise I spend tons of time in. I first played this game back when it was free on Xbox Game Pass, and it became one of my favorite platformers ever. And then when it went on sale on PC, I picked it up again, beat it, and loved every second of it as I clear more and more of the campaigns. And that game is Shantae, Half Genie Hero. I know some people are going to say that I'm only a fan of Shantae because of... I mean, I like those aspects, but I also think the game is absolutely amazing. The levels themselves are plenty of fun to play around, and they only get more fun as you unlock more and more abilities, and mainly transformations. Nothing makes you feel cooler than turning into a crab to slip under a watery barrier, before turning into a monkey to clear a very difficult platforming level. Before turning into a bird because, I don't know, you just wanted to fly around and have some fun. Fun is allowed here. Each clear of the levels gets easier and easier as you find more tools to add to your kit, and each time you find something new, you're like, oh wait, I might be able to access this now. Or, wait, this power-up? Ooh, I remember this thing. I remember wanting to find this thing, and I couldn't do it because of this barrier. Let me go see if I can unlock that now. Plus, while the story isn't anything amazing, it's fun, it does the job, and it leads to some interesting character moments. Every single transformation is perfect, and I have no complaints. Other than the last level kind of only really focusing on the heartbeat. I would have much preferred a level that required testing the abilities of all of your transformations. Like, I don't think you need the spider at all throughout the entire final level. It's mostly just the harpy and occasionally, like, the crab or something, or the mermaid, but like, it's a good final level. I just would have liked a bit more of a overall test of my abilities. But other than that, this game is great. Right now I'm working on 100% of the game by clearing all the side modes, speedrunning the main mode, and overall I'm having a great time. Pick this game up if you can. It's awesome. You want to know a game that sits in the back of my mind? Ogre Battle for the Super Nintendo. We had it on one of our Wiis back in the day, and despite having no idea what I was doing, I was fascinated by it. Tiny pieces moving along a massive board representing an entire war? That was awesome. So imagine my surprise when learning that there's a spiritual successor to the game in Unicorn Overlord. I'm not even gonna lie, this game is really complicated, but man am I having a blast. There's so many little moving parts, like team size, team synergy, support points, skills, equipment, classes, but man, do I feel cool as heck when I figure out exactly what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. I love the characters so far, and there's so many fun things to discover in the overworld, like the mining quest, the ancient relics, the material collection spots in order to rebuild towns. It's really fun. There's a lot of strategy that goes into literally every action you take, like the obvious stuff like equipment, but then you've got things like which soldier do I want to lead this troop? Whose field skill do I want access to? How many units do I want to deploy? Or should I send out less units in order to get access to a special skill right out the gate? What row should everyone go in? What characters should be put together? It's all just so much to process. The learning curve is intense. But I think I'm starting to learn. Then you've got the JRPG standards of good characters, music, graphics, and also me. Yes, this is me, don't ask questions. The game is absolutely glorious, man. I got quite a few powerful feeling parties, and I'm making my way towards the red area. And I can't wait to see what new classes and characters I'll meet. I feel like I've barely even scratched the surface yet. Also, while this absolutely applies to all games on this list, please do not spoil this one. I'm actually super into the plot this time around. The Jolly Fat Man was kind to me this year, as Santa brought my family a Nintendo Switch 2, which I have been playing the crap out of. Not only so I can play the games I already love, but faster and for some prettier, but also to play NS2 games. I've always viewed the NS2 as less of a PS2 to PS3, and more of a PS4 to PS4 Pro. And I believe that no game shows off how good the NS2 can run games, at least from what I've seen, than Mario Kart World. I've seen a lot of people complain about this game, but really, they just seem to be blowing things out of proportion. Is it a little annoying that costumes are now new slots instead of swappable like Smash? Yeah, kinda. Is the item distribution absolutely insane? Completely and utterly. But you know what? I don't care. This game is just so much fun and beautiful. Have you seen how lovely Daisy looks in this game? Have you seen her outfits or how she looks when she wins? This alone is worth the price of admission. That being waiting 6 months for Santa to throw one down my chimney. But back in the actual game, it's incredibly fun and hectic. The courses are excellent and have tons of things to do and things to flip onto for fun and speed. The grinding and wall riding feels excellent. The pack has never been more insane to be caught up in, and the items have never felt more fun to use. Even the bananas. I also quite like the new items, like the golden block and shell, and especially the food. Screw Breath of the Wild food, I want this food. Also, dude, this game is so beautiful. Every environment, every cart, every enemy, character, sun. This game looks so good, and I don't know how controversial this is, but I don't mind that the carts are pre-built. Speeds up picking, and if I want to build a cart, I can always just go back to 8. Also, I've barely touched the other modes, but they're fun from what little I've experienced. I've always been a pretty big fan of the Resident Evil franchise, the PlayStation horror series that started out small scale and masterful before the series eventually spirals out of control and becomes kinda dog water, until they start remaking games and remember how to make good ones. However, I decided that it was about time that I looked across the pond to check out the other PS1 survival horror classic, which led me to emulating the original Silent Hill. It's not that I've never had an interest in these games, but I've just never really bothered to try it out. And to be honest, what I've played so far has been really fun. Though I can imagine I'll like the later games more. Firstly, I love how the game looks. This style needs to be emulated more because it's so good. The blocky bodies, the gritty textures, it's amazing. More indie games need to look like this. Plus, The puzzles are much harder than Resident Evil's, which I enjoyed. Figuring out the piano puzzle in the school legit made me feel smart, and while I think Resi beats this game in terms of combat fidelity, melee weapons not being entirely useless is a nice bonus. Outside of like Code Veronica, knives are basically worthless weights in Resi, but swinging a pipe around to bash my cousin's head in with a pipe feels awesome. Harry, rescue your daughter and go into wrestling or something, dude, you got this! One of my only hang-ups so far is the flying enemies, as unlike the knife children or the dogs, they're kinda impossible to hit with melee weapons, which requires running or using your gun. But that's kind of it really, and it also fits with the whole survival horror thing. It's a good annoying, I should say. Hoping to play some more, because I really vibed with this one. Generally speaking, I'm not a puzzle gamer. It's just not my thing. However, I can be swayed into trying something if, for instance, I get a birthday gift from someone, which can lead to me trying out games I never would have imagined trying for myself, such as is the case with Mario vs. Donkey Kong. This technically isn't my first foray into the Mario v Monkey series, as years and years ago I played Miniland Mayhem on the DS, and that was fun, but I think this one beats it out in terms of, quote, funness. Firstly, this one is much more active, with Mario being stupidly fit for a puzzle game, with him side-flipping, cartwheeling, doing all kinds of wacky jumps, and overall just having an incredibly versatile moveset. Plus, I like the gimmicks the stages have. Like, actually fun ice levels.
This was a joke. I wrote this before replaying the game. The ice levels kind of stink.
Or the conveyor belts. And the bosses, dude. This game has some really fun bosses. Overall, I've had a great time with the game, and can't wait to beat it to see if I get something fun for doing that. I'll be totally honest with you, I could not come up with an intro for this one. I played Xenoblade Chronicles X this year. This game is weird. Like, everything I expect coming from Xenoblade 1 is subverted. Like playing as a character insert, different classes being available, the fact that the main city is New Los Angeles, and there's not even a single homeless person as far as I can see. It's a very different game from 1, but not bad. I enjoyed the characters I've met so far, and while I have no real idea what I'm doing, I'm certain that's just the game's learning curve. And once I get around to playing it more, I'll have a better grasp on the game's systems, and thus can better play the actual game. I've only got the starting 3 party members, and am learning my way around the map and the faction stuff. It all seems cool, but I haven't quite bitten to it yet. I'm not too worried because, in my opinion, Xenoblade 1 took until the attack that I will not be specifying to really click with me, and I'm figuring it'll happen here too. And I'm perfectly fine waiting. Also, this game is just absolutely gorgeous. I know that Xenoblade fans already know how beautiful these games are, but look at this. This is Switch 1 graphics, and it's just, ugh, so good looking. So, you know how I said that this video wasn't in any particular order? I lied. Sorry. I did have a favorite game this year. And it was this one. You might think that it's super lame to put the newest game in one of my favorite franchises as my number 1, but I don't care. Because I spent this year playing Persona 3 Reload. Technically speaking, I started this game in 2024, but I put it down to play something else, I think it was Xenoblade Chronicles, and then only got back around to it this year. And since I only played it up till June, I'm counting it as a this year game. I've played Persona 3 FES twice, once emulated and once on actual hardware, and my opinion has always been that the story is fantastic, but the gameplay is dated and can be incredibly frustrating. Well, now that they've updated the gameplay, Persona 3 Reload is the ideal way to play the game, though there are some things that do annoy me, which I'll talk about first. Firstly, the protagonist not being able to wield any weapon is pretty lame. It was a neat and fun way to build your character. Like, do you go with the two-handed sword for heavy slash damage, but have a high chance of slipping and falling over, or do you go with a bow for low accuracy, but removing the risk of falling over? Personally, I always go with either Brawling or Axis, because both are strike, a melee type my personal best team can hit, and they're cool as heck and feel strong. Reload removed this, though they did at least differentiate one-handed swords and rapiers, so at the very least, Makoto and Mitsuru don't share weapon slots. I also kinda don't like how every weapon or gear has an attached skill, instead of being random like on PS2. It was kind of exciting to find a new weapon or armor, because it could come with a really awesome skill, or it could come with something like Agility 2. But I do understand that that's just the way Persona does armor now. Another gripe I have is that most of the linked episodes give pretty poor rewards. Like, this sounds stupid, right? Like you're letting me hang with my male companions, something only possible in the female route of Persona 3 Portable. But remember that this takes up time, meaning losing out on progressing social links, and most of the time, the reward is 1 point towards a social stat, which, by the time the game really starts giving them out, from November on, my special stats were already maxed so I could start the Empress, Lovers, and Priestess, meaning the rewards were pretty much useless, outside of Koro-chan, because he gained some stats on his own persona, and gave me 3 SP ones. Then there's the obvious Atlus saying they're not going to do Fez content, and then releasing Fez content for $30 after the fact, and the fact that the game is, in general, easier, and there's also some weird audio issues where, like, voice lines would taper out, like, right at the very end. That was kind of weird. But looking at the game itself, it's just so dang good, dude. Firstly, from an aesthetics point of view, this game just looks and sounds fantastic. It took a bit to get used to the new voices and music, but A, they do a fantastic job, especially Junpei, Akihiko, and Aigis, and also I'm just gonna slide Yuko in here, cause I can, and B, once I got to the music, many of the tracks I preferred to their PS2 counterparts. Honestly, the quality of life improvements just make me love this game so much, like being able to manually select inheritable skills, being able to stop Mare and Karen spam by taking control of Mitsuru, costumes being added, meaning it's now possible to have good armor without wearing the high-cut armor, though I may or may not have equipped it anyways, and even things new to Persona 3 or Persona in general, like built-in skills for your party members, like 50% cost of recovery skills on Yukari, or just straight up Invigorate on Ken, making them even better to use and differentiating them more. There's also the fact that the game is almost fully voice acted, and that's put to great effort, especially on 3-4 if you know what I'm talking about. The fact you're not forced to romance your female classmates and thus no longer have to choose between cheating on all of them or having really weak social link levels, and some of the new skills they introduced in this game are super fun. Oh yeah, and theurgies are insane, though a lot of the animations leave a lot to be desired. Still, they're pretty powerful, so they're still fun to use. More things I like are how you don't need personas in your inventory to use their combined skill, so you can throw Orpheus in the trash right away, get dunked on, you loser. And also the presentation is so good, dude. The game looks awesome. I know some people say that it's like, what is it? I think I heard someone call it like Unreal Slop. I also saw someone say it looked like a porn parody, but like, I don't know. This game just looks fantastic. And a bunch of the things I see people complain about are stylistic taste. Some people don't like the green dark hour established in the movies, but I think it contrasts well against the red blood everywhere and the bright yellow moon. The game looks incredible, even if it's just not to your taste. And I think that's something the internet kind of needs to remember more, that just because something is not to your taste doesn't mean it's actually bad or terrible. Is this my new favorite Persona game? No, Golden still clears, but it got close, and that's saying something. If I don't get this video out before February, you're legally allowed to call me a dweebus in the comments.